Chapter 8, The Garden of Sleep. Virginia looked at the ghost with her beautiful blue eyes and was very surprised. She went to his side and looked up at his tired old face. Poor ghost, she said softly. Isn't there a place where you can sleep? Far away, on the other side of the woods, he said in a low voice. There's a little garden. The grass is green and soft. There are big old trees and white flowers, and little birds sing all the time. You mean the Garden of Sleep, said Virginia. Yes, the Garden of Sleep, said the ghost. Sleep is so beautiful. I want to lie in that silent garden and forget everything. There I can finally sleep. He looked into Virginia's blue eyes. You can help me, Virginia. You can open the gates of the garden for me. Because you have love. Love is stronger than anything. Virginia was afraid. She suddenly felt very cold. For a few moments, there was silence. Then the ghost spoke again. Did you see the old writing on the library window? Yes, I saw it many times, said Virginia. I know it well. There are 6 lines. They say that a young girl with blonde hair will help a bad man to pray. The black trees will have flowers. A child will cry. Then the house will be quiet and calm, and peace will come to Canterville, said the ghost. But what does it mean? Asked Virginia. It means, he said sadly, that you must cry for me because I can't cry. You must pray for me because I have no words. If you are good and kind, the angel of sleep will forgive me. You'll see terrible things that will frighten you. Bad voices will speak to you, but no one will hurt you because you are so good. Virginia was silent for a few moments. The ghost was very sad and looked down at her blonde hair. Suddenly, she stood up with a strange light in her eyes. I'm not afraid, she said. Take me to the Garden of Sleep. I will ask the angel of sleep to forgive you. The god stood up with a cry of happiness. He took Virginia's hand and kissed it. His fingers were cold like ice, and his lips were hot like fire. Virginia followed the ghost across the dark room. She heard voices that said, go back, little Virginia. The ghost held her hand and she closed her eyes. Horrible animals looked at her and said, be careful, Virginia. We'll never see you again if you go with him. The ghost walked more quickly. Virginia did not listen to the voices. At the end of the room, he stopped and said some strange words. The wall opened, and in front of them, it was completely black. There was a cold wind, and someone pulled at her dress. Quickly, quickly, cried the ghost, or it will be too late. In a moment, the wall closed behind them. The room was empty. About 10 minutes later, it was time for tea, but Virginia did not come downstairs. Mrs. Otis sent a servant to call her. The servant returned and said, I can't find Miss Virginia anywhere. Perhaps she went to pick flowers, said Mrs. Otis. She often picks flowers before dinner for the dinner table. Yes, she's probably in the garden, said the servant. At 6 o'clock, Virginia still did not appear. Mrs. Otis was worried. She went to the twins and Washington to look for her in the garden. She and Mr. Otis looked for her in every room of the house, but no one was able to find her. Washington, let's go and look for Virginie in the park, said Mr. Otis, who was worried. Please, let me go with you, said the young Duke of Cheshire. No, Cecil, you are too young, said Mr. Otis. Stay in the house with my wife and the twins. End of chapter 8.